Guild Eagles are mentally stronger. I think they're warriors, they're ready to fight, and that's going to make the difference. I'm going with the Eagles.
Blair?
I think the Eagles are going to fly high.
All right, my analyst desk are siding with the Eagles. Will they fly high or crash to the ground? Can ECSTATIC do it? We'll have to find out. With that being said, we've got two of the best to cast us through this one. It's Jackie and Vince.
Thank you, Parla. We can't wait to sink our teeth into this one. It's going to be an absolute banger. It's got 3 maps written all over it. Going to be some very explosive rounds, and the veto is particularly interesting as well. We've been given a bit of a gift on this one. Vince, Guild up against ECSTATIC, qualification to the Major on the line.
Yeah, ECSTATIC, of course, a team that have no previous players getting really this far. It's the first RMR that we've seen as a core. A chance at greatness, and they so nearly got it done yesterday against Apeks.
Yeah.
Heartbreakingly close, but can they bounce back, Jackie, and see that same kind of form?
Well, they'll have to speak with actions on the server rather than speculation. ECSTATIC testing the waters towards bottom middle. They're not going to hold their angles and wait for a push for Guild. They're going to get a bit aggro and look for info. They could get a free backstab onto sinnopsyy and completely cut their way through this A push before it even starts. Patty waits for the push in. They take a bit of control off him. Rigon good for 1 on the defense, but it falls into a 3 versus 4.
Oh, so scrappy, and it's going to go the way of ECSTATIC, though, in this confrontation. It looked like it would be an even trade. That puts Sennery with his back to the wall. Post-plant in, full defuse coming through with 10 seconds. Sennery's just going to get forced out, bullied out of this round, it seems. The full defuse will come in, and Sennery falls by the wayside. Important couple of trades there on the CT side, and that smoke, a 2 for 0, pretty much sealed the deal on this round.
Yeah, trying to get aggro towards CT, see if you can find a couple of those frags to put yourself into a better position, but no joy, no connection on those. Heads up play from the CT side of ECSTATIC as well. You know, Guild, a lot of the plays we've seen on their opening T-side rounds, especially on pistols, it's very aggressive. So for them to go for something a bit slower, ECSTATIC quickly realised there must be some sort of shenanigans here. They clear mid, take the map control off them, and then have the quick flank to shut it down.
Flatroo just sat behind the 2 Molotovs to stop the initial charge up ramp. What we did see yesterday from ECSTATIC is these guys, mechanically, in terms of their aim, are on point. Salazar was having some crazy rounds with the AWP, but in the meantime, Patty, an even trade back and forth. As the T's spill out onto the side, tons of carnage and casualties. See it in a 2-on-2. But with 2 rifles picked up, Sennery taking chunks of damage down to 6. And they line up for a sinnopsyy spray. 29 HP plays 76. And the wide swing from sinnopsyy as Salazar ran out of ammunition. Guild Eagles bounce straight back.
Oh, mate. It's one of those with this team. Whenever you think they're out of it slightly, whenever you think, oh, it's going to be a bit of a slow start onto this one, they come straight back in and play to their strengths, don't they? Aggression is really a key for this roster. They will always fight, they'll always swing into angles, and 9 times out of 10, they do just hit those blinding shots.
That's what this round was all about, just aggression. Just wide swinging, getting in the face of ECSTATIC, and that's going to be a recurring theme over the duration of this best of 3. And it's a stat that we were kind of touching on just before the game got started, because obviously we've casted both of these teams before in the last couple of days. Is Rigon in particular, his T side is one that you have to watch out for. He is going to be a real problem in terms of those stats, but he does struggle a little bit on the CT side throughout this RMR.
Yeah, there's quite a stark contrast between half to half for Rigon over the course of the RMR. CT rating is 0.77, whereas his T rating, well, that's 1.29. And we've seen whenever he's got the AK in his hands, he is an entry tool. You can send him towards a bomb site, he'll find 1 or 2 frags, hell, sometimes even 3, and just carve a path for Guild back into rounds. It's on CT side where, on occasion, he can fall a little bit quiet. So throughout the course of this opening half, this is where you're expecting Guild to build themselves a big buffer starting off on Ancient. 2 players on either side towards the cave entrance, though. Those 5-7s could start singing, but only 1 tag. It doesn't matter, though, as that tag quickly turns into a double up for Patty. Caught with his pants around his ankles on a reface, and he goes down.
Labeled spray, but GX gets it done. 5-7, shutting down sinnopsyy. A 2-on-1. Again, stacked against the Danes. Queenix has already eradicated 1, and he's quickly wrapped around cave. They're tickling the bomb to try and draw him out. With him going for a re-rotation up on ramp, they may assume it's Cave, and he may get the drop on one of these players now. Rigon is watching it, turns his attention just as Queenix goes for the swing, but is able to make amends. And Guild Eagles, after losing the pistol, straight in with 2. Another player that we should highlight as well in terms of entries and being very good on the T-half is Patty. We saw him yesterday go toe-to-toe with Jacob for large chunks of that best-of-3. Often coming out second best, as many people have in this iteration of Jacob. He's been unbelievable, a big reason why Apeks has secured their spot at Copenhagen. But he is also a player that can definitely turn it on and have some really impactful rounds.
Yeah, no, he was really quite a powerhouse for excl over the course of that series. We saw a lot of these rounds as well. excl quite dynamic in the way they'll play their full eco rounds. They like to go for stacks. They've got multiple different boosts on a fair few maps that they will be pulling out to try and catch you off guard. As long as you clear your angles perfectly, you should be able to farm up the frags, get a little bit of money to work with, and find your way through the round with only the 1 death. That's just on Rigon. He's got money in the bank, so you're not going to be too bothered as Guild start things off with 3 rounds under the belt. There is at least cash to play with again for the CT side now, though, Vince.
There most certainly is. And they'll be looking to try and thread the eye of the needle. I mean, it's another situation where both teams are very aggressive on their CT side of Ancient. We have already seen Guild Eagles take so much control along with excl. Double player stack this time. Molotovs and HE's tossed out. It should afford them the luxury of mid-control. Good HE also onto Catwalk. It's GX who still maintains that MAC-10 and nearly ripping through him. Patty, the grade may finish him off, and indeed it shall. Effectively a bonus round coming in here with that MAC-10, and it's already yielded 1 kill.
You can see the whole team being quite vocal as well. Rigon there communicating at the bottom of the ramp. Meanwhile, sinnopsyy swings out through A main and beheads Queenix, giving them even more to work with. Kraghen, he was a big force for this excl roster in the past. Can he live up to it now? Peeks out towards the lane, instantly battered. And if they had any sort of edge of finding a way back into the round, well, that's quickly gone down the pan.
And this off the back of 2 rounds of saving and playing cautiously and conservatively with your money. You finally get a buy-in, instantly smacked back down to reality and back down to earth with a recession around the corner. The Danes can maybe get 1. They can't even get that one. Flatroo instantly with the headshot. And what you're seeing already for Guild Eagles, man, is like these guys, they're warmed up. They're ready to go. So many insta-headshots, these duels all going in their favor.
Yeah, and you've got to find an answer to stop this because it will snowball more and more. We know exactly what they're like, right? They're a team that thrives off that energy and really does their best work in those moments of carnage, when they can just take fights, when they're giggling, when they're screaming. It pays off, and they're hitting their shots. You're absolutely on point, man. Like, they're coming out into this one, hitting some blinders, and that's really quite worrying for excl. You're not going to have the money to work with. You can't fight for control. That was a big piece of their CT side when we saw them up against Apeks as well. You're expecting Patty to get in their face towards bottom mid. You're expecting the utility to come out towards lane, to constantly make it feel uncomfortable for the T's, but they just can't afford that.
Yeah, I mean, the problem in that last round is we're going to see a double stack on ramp, and it should be a double spray. Naughtyos will survive with that 5-7, but barely on a slither of health at 10. I think it's because they went for mid control, they established it, 2 HEs, 2 mollies, but then GX just opens up cave. And so one of the components of mid control is you need to also have catwalk control, or at least have enough players in mid where you can deal with both angles simultaneously. So that GX push through cave really threw a spanner in the works. Another component of this as well is excl have a very capable AWPer in Salazar.
Yeah.
He did start slow yesterday, but once he picked up pace, the guy was on form. Well, he's not been afforded the chance of having an AWP yet, or really getting into this game. He's 0-4. He has certainly struggled. And this is just going to be a massacre. Sennery, double spray through the smoke, 2 kills. And it will be a 5th round to the Eagles.
Kraghen, he's hoping maybe he could find a couple of tap shots on a P250, steal a weapon. But not going to be happening here. So 5 already. The Eagles are soaring. But you like the heads-up call, at least, for excl. There's going to be money in the bank. You can finally afford that AWP on Salazar. So use the tactical pause. Figure out where you need to adjust, what you're going to change. And honestly, I think in terms of the aggression, that's another factor that works well for them. If they can start to turn it on a little bit, take those opening fights, put the foot down. Don't just give all of the freedom in the world to Guild to do exactly what they want, whenever they want.
It's a very good point, man. Like, you can't afford the luxury of allowing Guild Eagles to dictate all the pace of the action and kind of bully you around. We've said a couple times throughout this RMRs that some teams that are, you know, lower down the totem pole, so to speak, in terms of being tier 2, or they haven't been in these situations, were respecting their opposition way too much.
Yeah.
You have to play your own game, and you have to have full confidence that you're able to stand toe-to-toe with these players. Yes, Guild Eagles always seem to get like a boost, a buffer when it comes to these RMRs, but if you're excl, you may not get another chance. You're going to go down into the last chance qualifiers, but some of the teams there are already looking very deadly and very difficult to deal with. You've got to snatch your opportunity right here, right now. Don't leave anything on the server. In the meanwhile, Salazar finally gets an AWP, just instantly entried. Gone.
Yeah, that's your big boon. That's your opportunity to create space into the rounds. Where Salazar is slain, his team will step up to the plate and deliver with 2 frags. So finally, an advantage in terms of the battle of attrition. Guild down to 3 players. juanflatroo, though, oh, he can be a real pain in the backside. He's going to try and flank his way up towards Red Room, finds the hit onto Kraghen, peeks back round towards Donut, but again, it flip-flops. Queenix hits the head, and the last duo for Guild make their move towards B.
GX alongside Senna. He's had a really good start to this game. GX just slightly awry on that shot. Will land on the second time, and Senna got one beforehand. A 2-on-3 turns into a 1-on-1, and there will be enough time for the plant and a post-plant position. Queenix with the AWP. But he's walking in with the USP, and GX is on full HP right now. Looking for that window of opportunity, for the timing to work out in his favor, but it's going to be GX that finds him and frags him. A 3-on-2 slips through the fingers of the Danes.
My, oh my. You finally get the AWP, can't find the frags with it. Everyone's trading blows the entire round to put you in a position where it goes down to a 1v1. And GX, with the better positioning, gets it over the finish line. And this is their T-side half on Ancient, where they are just running through the game, building themselves so many rounds to play with, winning a lot of them quite cleanly as well. And even when it does go down to a clutch, if you start letting Guild Eagles win clutches, Vince, that's when they just feel even stronger. They feel like they can keep pushing, keep fighting. And again here, they just bombard their way in. You've got the picks towards the B site, frag after frag, all of the SMGs amount to nothing, and this should be another one.
And this is a great sign for Guild Eagles, man. We talked about it yesterday. GX is a phenomenal AWPer when he's on form. He really does land so many shots. He had an incredibly slow start yesterday against Apeks. The first 2 maps, he was rock bottom of the stats. The third map, he really stepped up, and when it was required. And it's just one of those kind of performances where you look at it and you think, is he going to be a bit of a quiet component in this game against excl as well? And pardon me, I meant against Nexus, not Apeks. But he did arrive, and now early doors, he's already here. Everybody's fragging. Sennary's fragging. Rigon. juanflatroo's been a little bit on the quiet side, and he's one of the guys you know is going to really deliver on the CT side. This is about as good a start as you could have hoped for coming into this first map for Guild Eagles.
Yeah, lights out at the minute. Coming in warmed up, coming in a whole lot quicker in terms of just delivering those deathly blows, whereas excl, compared to what we saw yesterday, it feels like they're a little bit slow to the flame. Have to change that fate for yourself now. Don't have too many rounds left on the opening CT side of the first map. They do have nades to work with, and again, an investment into that AWP. Salazar brings it out, and he's sole defender towards the A site. You've got a deep push down towards middle as well. Nade timing goes around the corner. Rigon, he eats the HG, but still peeks in. Good for a 1-for-1 trade. Salazar's being tested blind, but snipes onto the first. A near miss on the follow-up. The utility makes it uncomfortable, and he's beheaded.
Kraghen stands his ground, and now sinnopsyy going to go in for that spray, but Kraghen gets a second. GX with a chance. There was 3 players, and that chance was brief and was cut short. Second round on the side of excl. And just to put into context what I was talking about before, the second map against Nexus, GX dropped a 0.44 rating on Vertigo. But then the last map of that series was Ancient. 1.44 really stepped it up. This is clearly a map that GX enjoys a great deal, and we've seen improve that again here in this game. But a very important round for excl. They're going to slow the push a little bit in terms of allowing Guild Eagles to stabilize like into a 10-2 half or something crazy like that. But they've got to make the most of it. If they can drag this back into like an 8-4, 7-5 situation, the CT side is one that can get a little bit shaky for Guild Eagles. There's still a chance here, but Paddy takes a grenade straight to the head.
Oh, Shadow's giving the game away as well as the flank comes up through Cave. Every time there's an opening pick for Guild, 2 more are found in quick succession, and again, they're blowing excl away. Worst case scenario as well, you finally get around thinking you can flex your muscles a little bit, and then your arms just get broken off by the Eagles. They're talons, Vince. Massive talons, like 600 PSI on those bad boys. They're crashing them.
If you've seen the size of Eagle talon, by the way, compared to a human hand, it's terrifying. Especially the large ones. It is absolutely terrifying. So yeah, I would not want to be ripped apart by those talons at all, but that's exactly what is happening right now. And excl, they don't have the leather glove, they don't have any kind of protection whatsoever. They are just having to deal with this and being flayed alive. 3 MP9s, Jackie, and a 2-8 scoreline on CT side. This is so bleak.
Lane control being fought for again. The bulldozer in the hands of Nodios. Oh, he's got a sneaking suspicion. A man's in the smoke, wanted to cut him apart with a butcher knife, but Patty finds the head. Although sinnopsy's quickly in position to look for the trade, so it still amounts to a 1-for-1.
1-for-1 in this kind of scenario is not going to favor excl whatsoever. They got less firepower. They have tried it up to an AK, but less utility. It also is going to funnel them out that little bit thinner, but that's an important kill. It does give a chance now. Salazar with 1, but Queenix traded back, and that's the A site that goes with him. Smoke to CT. They can molly down on Donut as well, as Kraghen does get spotted. That should stop his push. No, he pushes in, but the sound cue is going to give that position away now. Shadow around the corner. juanflatroo is caught, but Senori is going to get caught between 2 players. He's going to overextend and get punished, and this is all off the back of juanflatroo having that nade out at the worst possible moment, putting GX into a 1-on-3. First shot goes awry, and Salazar will punish. As soon as that one player was picked on A site, in a 3-on-3, you're thinking, right, Guild Eagles have this one in the bag, but excl bounce back in and secure a 3rd.
I think with the pace that Guild are taking to this game as well on their T side, it just makes excl look a bit uncomfortable. Almost like you've kind of been hit with like a shock to the system after playing the teams that they've been playing against over the course of this RMR, and a very intense environment for them, playing very respectful, kind of slow CS. Even Apeks was showing a lot of respect to them, not just constantly barraging with some of the site takes. Whereas here, you're just having it thrown at you again and again in the first few seconds, and you've got to adapt because of that. They're being tested. I mean, at least in the half overall, if you can get a 4th round out of it, maybe they can step up the plate, come back into the game, see if they can keep it going for the Danish side. On the T side, juanflatroo, though, walks around the back of the smoke towards middle, shuts down Queenix. His royal reign is over, and kraghen might also go the same way. The P250 doesn't deliver, and it's already another 3 picks for Guild.
1 step forward, multiple steps backwards for the Danes. That's been a consistent theme throughout this half, and that's not good enough on the CT side. This is the half you've got to get consistency. You've got to establish economy. You cannot afford to be winning and losing and trading out. 9-3 is looking like the score. Nodios has been pivoted back into position. Solid 2nd frag, but there's 3 more players to deal with. And if that wasn't difficult enough already, a post plant in, and there is GX on the cross. 12 kills for him, 9 rounds for the Eagles. And of course, it's not going to be a huge surprise to find out, Jackie, that in that half, only 3 opening kills went the way of excl. 3.
Yeah. Man, it's absolutely crazy just how different it is watching Patty at middle into this game compared to what we saw literally yesterday, Vince. The change of pace and just how quick Guild have been. I mean, that was a pretty rapid half, all things considered.
Yeah, it was fast-paced every single round. I can't think of many times where time was even an issue for the T half. They were so quick with it. sinnopsyy got 4 opening picks of his own, so more than the entirety of excl. Chef's kiss. Understandable. Guild Eagles thinking that's a delicious half as far as they're concerned.
For excl, they're not worried about where the lamb source is. They're worried about where the rounds are. Coming into the second half, Pistol, though, can they respond? Not looking good on the battle towards B initially, but Nodios tries to take it in the right direction. GX, this man does not need an AWP, Vince. He's got a very powerful pistol.
There's a way forward, though, for excl. They have a post plant. Those smokes are still in position, so they can fall back into fairly difficult angles to thwart, especially considering there's no HEs or Molotovs, anything really for Guild Eagles to burrow out these positions. The downside is they are 1 by 1, so they need to trade at least 1 frag apiece. Full defuse coming out. They've lost their first component. Needs to be Patty, but he gets wide swung. GX with 3 kills, securing a 15th. And the other terrifying thing here, Jackie, is everybody on Guild Eagles is 10 or more kills. This is as even distribution of carrying the weight, the load, as possible. No one is lagging behind.
No, they're all showing up massively when it absolutely matters in a game like this. Oh, man. Full reclined as well. Doesn't give a damn. Taking the timeout on the chin. Devil Walk trying to keep the roster with their heads in it as well. And meanwhile, for excl, it's quite a crushing feeling. Very different opening map compared to what they had yesterday. Of course, you've still got a safety net. If it all goes wrong here, there is that LCQ, the last chance qualifier. But that isn't easy. That's a gauntlet on top of the absolute death run you've been through over this past week. 6 teams, and only 1 of them will make it to the major. And there's a whole lot of talent waiting for you down in those depths. This is your best chance to do it. An even matchup here if you can stand and deliver. And this second half is where they absolutely need to prove what they're made of. We saw a great display yesterday versus Apeks, but at the minute, Guild making another major run. Always so powerful at RMRs, and they want to get the stickers in the game again. Flatroo flattens them.
Makes a pancake out of kraghen. And the HE to try and exploit the smoke. May not be a kill that's in return, but does give them a bit of intel that no one's pushing up to Red Room just yet. And they can get aggressive into A main as a result, and Guild Eagles and aggression just seem to go hand in hand. It's the perfect formula. It's their style of Counter-Strike. You feel like you're just being blitzed into pieces before you even get established into these maps. And Queenix in a SMG duel, 1v1 is going to turn into a 2-on-2 actually. And it looks like it's going to be more of the same for the Eagles. Paddy has to run away. Player advantage, finding one in T-spawn as well with a Deagle, but they have the bomb down. And with Salazar dropping alongside it, looking good for an 11-3. Man, this has been a rapid map of CS. And it could be over in just a couple of moments' time.
Yeah, it's so bizarre as well, like the way excl go into that one. Obviously, you forced the money in, wanted to try and do something to get back into the game, realizing that the overall lead's slipping away from you, but they just looked a bit scared. You had kind of weapons to work with, utility, but you look at Guild, they're still playing T-side, even into CT. They just run at you, take all the map control away, suffocate you, and excl didn't even want to double commit on the flank back towards middle. They're bumping into each other and looking a bit just out of sorts, really.
I wonder how much losing that really close game against Apeks affected excl mentality. If that was really burrowed in their brain this entire time, were they able to shake it off? Again, they're not as experienced as some of the other teams in this tournament. Because this looks like a far cry from the excl that we saw yesterday. Yes, Guild Eagles are a different beast, they're a different unit, they play a different brand of Counter-Strike. But we've not seen any of those components really connect. They're not winning any duels. It's just too easy for Guild Eagles. Yes, that was against pistols, but I'm talking even the rifle rounds.
That's the noise of an eagle, Vince. That's what an eagle sounds like. We've got 5 of them.
As if the talons weren't terrifying enough.
It's the screech before they grab you.
Yeah. Just hear that at the distance, like, oh God. It's over.
You're looking up in the sky. Is that a bird? Is that a plane? It's a rig-on! He's so animated, man. He is such a character. The guy's an absolute G, honestly.
Well, can they put this to rest? Well, it's looking like it, isn't it? GX, 18 kills, 4 deaths. A ton of damage through the smoke onto Nodios as well. Caught in 2 mines, and sinnopsyy is cleaning up the extremities of the map through middle. Just kill for kill, blow for blow, and it's too easy for Guild Eagles. One of the fastest maps of CS we've seen at the RMR. They're 1-0 up already.
1-0 up, looking damn good in a qualification best of 3. Can they have their 4th major under the belt? If they can do it in the space of 2 more maps, then Guild Eagles will be going to Copenhagen.
That is